Hey everyone! Today we're diving into Mr. Aonuma's recent demonstration of Tears of the Kingdom's gameplay and talking about why this was a genius move on Nintendo's part, one that will strongly affect the community's hype and expectations. First and foremost, let's quickly recap some of the most common complaints that people had about Breath of the Wild, and how this demonstration strategically addresses them. First off, the weapon system. Many players felt that the durability system in Breath of the Wild wasn't rewarding, and there was not enough incentive to go out and collect more weapons. As you progressed, enemies got more and more health, and you'd often break multiple weapons while defeating a single group of mobs, all for one chest and a couple of wooden weapons in return. Additionally, even if your weapons didn't break, your inventory was still always full and you're constantly thinking, what do I throw away to pick up this new weapon? Which many people found frustrating. In the recent gameplay demonstration, Nintendo made very sure to remind us how it felt to break a weapon on an enemy mid-combat and be stuck empty-handed, before showing us exactly how you can take a weapon that is close to breaking and giving it more durability than it had in the first place. This, to me, feels like Nintendo is directly addressing Breath of the Wild's critics and saying, listen, we heard your concerns and we came up with a solution that's even better than a blacksmith. Additionally, Fuse not only solves the durability issue, but also improves Breath of the Wild's item distribution. Weapons are now much less likely to be useless, as you can always fuse a new weapon with an existing one, or combine secondary effects from weaker weapons onto stronger ones. Even if your inventory is full, you can always take your lowest damage weapon and fuse it with a new one. We will also be able to give more combat tricks to Link, as we can see in these two pieces of footage that a cannon and a flamethrower are both viable components in the fusing system and can provide active effects during use of items that they're attached to. I also like how Fuse scales with your weapon damage, as this means that the ability is usable from the start of the game all the way until the end. This is an issue that both the Sheikah bombs and Stasis had, because the Sheikah bombs basically did no damage anymore in endgame, and Stasis's duration was abysmal on silver and gold enemies. Secondly, the Traversal System. Climbing was a core aspect of exploration in Breath of the Wild, but it often became tedious, especially when dealing with rain or thunderstorms. In regions like Farron or Lanayru, it could sometimes take ages for it to stop raining, and a campfire was never easy to set up in the middle of a storm. This meant that you really either just had to give up, or wait out the rain if you wanted to climb anything higher than a small wall. With the addition of the Ascent power, players can now navigate vertical spaces more efficiently, potentially making climbing a more enjoyable experience. Though it won't be usable everywhere, at least we know that you'll be able to skip climbing part of the time. Moreover, if you look at the background of this footage, you can see that even bigger constructs can be modified with Ultra Hand, meaning that we'll be able to create shelter to light up a campfire and skip bad weather much more easily than we ever could in Breath of the Wild. Additionally, Ultra Hand can pick up any object in the environment, so we can build towers and stairs out of anything rather than having to exclusively use metal objects. In this way, Ultra Hand is basically Stasis and Magnesis combined when it comes to objects. When it comes to vehicles specifically, Nintendo has clearly taken notice of the creative ways players use the game mechanics to build their own makeshift vehicles in Breath of the Wild. The Ultra Hand power now allows us to construct land, water and even aerial vehicles using various parts that allow for propulsion and steering, expanding the possibilities for player-created content. Together with the Ascent power, this further decreases the amount of time players will need to spend managing their stamina and waiting for time to pass. Additionally, with things like the battery and the steering wheel that we saw in this footage, we'll likely be able to traverse really long distances using this system, further redefining traveling and exploration in general. Even if the overworld map is largely the same as in Breath of the Wild, we'll be exploring it in much different ways than before, and I think a lot of people are understating how big this is. Thirdly, the return of larger dungeons. One of the most common complaints about Breath of the Wild was the absence of the traditional larger Zelda dungeons. With the new powers like Ultra Hand and Ascent, the potential for more complex multi-floor dungeons has significantly increased. We might finally see the return of the larger dungeons that many of us have been longing for. It's worth noting as well that in the current footage that we have of the game, you can already see multiple large-scale structures, and with the cave symbols on the map, we know that we can now actually enter and complete these types of locations. In Breath of the Wild, indoor exploration was completely limited to Hyrule Castle and the Yiga hideout, and even large structures like the Akala Citadel were only climbable on the outside. Of course, we had the shrines and the divine beasts, but those were very restricted as they all had the same visual theme, and you couldn't climb and explore them in your own way. With the precedent that Tears of the Kingdom is setting, I think it's safe to say that we're going to get much more complex and interesting exploration than we ever did in Breath of the Wild. Also, in this footage you can see that the ascend ability is locked while in the air and while swimming, but it is usable when Link is underwater, presumably to resurface more quickly. This seems like a weird choice as Link normally doesn't go deep underwater in normal gameplay, or does he? So, in conclusion, to me it's pretty evident that Nintendo has done all of this on purpose. This showcase was not improvised or played live at all. They've planned it out and shown these specific features, making sure to showcase exactly how Fuse can circumvent weapons breaking, and how Ultra Hand and Ascend fix a lot of the complaints that players had with the first game. Additionally, it's subtly hinted that the environments we'll get to explore are much more varied, so even longer form dungeons are in no way ruled out. By addressing these issues head-on, they're strategically getting even the most hardcore critics excited about the game, all while innocently showing off Tears of the Kingdom's main gameplay loop and hook. So there you have it. This is why Aonuma's Tears of the Kingdom showcase is a game changer and why we're all so excited to get our hands on the game. If you're as hyped as I am, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild related content. Also, please let me know your thoughts and expectations in the comments. I'm really excited to hear what you guys think about all of this.